The organization here with me today offers a variety of much-needed services and strive to help build brighter futures and wonderful opportunities for young people. I'd like to welcome Laura Smidzik of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of the Greater Twin Cities. Laura, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us about Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Sure. Big Brothers Big Sisters is actually the oldest, largest mentoring program in the Twin Cities. And we actually just rolled out a new mission statement, which I'm really excited about, which is we're there to provide children who are facing diversity with strong and enduring one-on-one relationships that are professionally supported so that we can change lives for the better forever. So we matched over 3,200 kids last year and have mentors working one-on-one with those children in the Greater Twin Cities area. We're in 10 counties.
Now, tell us, with so many different mentoring organizations for kids these days, how is Big Brothers Big Sister different?
Well, I think the history of our sort of legacy in the state and across the country is one piece, just that there's the familiarity and we've had a long time establishing really strong best practices around mentoring, although our peer organizations do as well. I'd say the one thing that I'm really excited about is we work on trying to bring children in who are age 7 through 12, but then stay with them all the way until they get to college. So we have an education and enrichment part of our program. We take kids to work sites. We take them to learn about how to take SATs and ACTs. We're taking 10 kids to Atlanta to look at colleges, and we actually have a college scholarship program. So there's this sense of really building relationships and then staying with them, hopefully until they enroll in college.
Okay. Now, how important is this organization for our time?
Well, I think it's critical. I mean, I was just at a program this morning over at Wilder Foundation talking about the economy and children and youth and how that all fits together in one large system. And I think the reality is that kids always need adults in their lives. And they were really talking about how adults, they called them community adults, can be so critical in terms of the success of all children. But particularly for children who might be in that educational disparity, the gap in terms of graduating from school. So our hope is that really by building these one-on-one relationships at a time where we've got, in Minnesota, a lot of work to do about helping children get through school and be successful, that these one-on-one nurturing relationships are going to be critical for that.
Okay. Now, in our conversation earlier, you mentioned that you have your kids who are also involved?
I do. I actually come from a same-sex relationship, so I wanted to have my sons have men in their lives. And so we have, both of our boys have had mentors for over 4 years. We're a St. Paul family. Our mentors are St. Paul men. And I have to say, I remember vividly the first day that Johnny drove up to our porch to be matched with our youngest. He drove up in his black Jeep in his Rolling Stones cap, and it's like they fell in love on our front porch and have been really good buddies ever since. It's been really influential for both of my children.
Okay. Now, what category of kids do you specifically target?
Yes, so we really work with age 7 through 12. That's our primary age group. And there are other mentoring programs that will work with kids older. So I think that is one piece that differentiates us. We have kids that come from all different kinds of families and all different kinds of backgrounds. However, 90% of the children do come from families with single parent homes. We have a very active Mentoring Children of Prisoner program where we're matching children who have a family member who's incarcerated. The reality in Minnesota is that 70% of the people who are incarcerated have family members who were as well. So we're really trying to bring another voice, another relationship into a child's life to hopefully try to impact that cycle.
Okay. Now, from your experience, do you think unsupervised children is becoming a problem in our society today? Well,
you're talking to an optimist, right? I mean, I live right around the corner from Central High School, and I spend a lot of time in that building. I have a high school student. So clearly, I mean, I would say unsupervised children probably throughout the ages have had created challenges in communities, right? I mean, I think that it's important for a community to raise children, and that's part of our philosophy. I do think, schools end early. Parents are busy. There's a lot of parents working, more than one job who have children who are growing up often less attended to than perhaps in the past. So I think as we add more and more positive elements, we can have a positive impact on those kids. We do find that even something as simple as a one-on-one relationship can decrease risk behaviors for children, can increase their actual educational attainment. It's amazing what just like one person really caring can do. Right. And it may be this relationship, it may be another one. But so, you know, I would say I have a hard time feeling really negative about today's youth because I see so much positive. But I do think it's up for us as adults to reach out and see them and care about them and try to support their success.
Okay. Now you look at things very positively. I
do.
realize. Who are your other mentors? Who's involved with this program?
Yeah. So it's interesting when I do the orientation when new folks come in who've just signed up and they're coming to learn more about the program. The age range is really, renters can start at 19. They have to be at least 19. So the age range really is like, you know, 19 up until the 60s and 70s. We have the whole gamut. And they seem to be people who either have had a mentor sometime in their life or who are looking for a way to give back to the community in a meaningful way. What I love about Big Brothers Big Sisters is you can be a mentor one-on-one, you know, kind of the way most people imagining mentoring relationships. But we also have big couples and big colleagues. So this weekend I spent time with a cup of coffee with a young couple who have just moved to the Twin Cities, and they thought, let's mentor a kid. You know, it'll be a great way for us to get to know the Twin Cities, to do some volunteering together. So we allow singles, couples, or colleagues, and then we also have big families. So I actually spoke to a woman who's a single parent with 3 sons. She wanted to teach her kids about civic engagement, and they were up for it, you know, because she said, I can either do this on my own or you can do it with me. They said, no, we want to do it. So they now have a little that's part of their family on weekends and, you know, when they do events. It's twice a month is what we ask when you're involved with a child in the community, is to do events with them twice a month or do activities.
Okay. Now, do you work with different organizations as well, or?
Well, the mentoring really happens through our organizations, but we're constantly looking for community partners, both in terms of, as I mentioned about that sort of career enhancement piece, organizations that would welcome in mentors and their kids to come learn about careers, or else to help either do with donations or to help with activities for kids. So there's a lot of possibilities of partnerships, but primarily we're working with individuals who step forward as volunteers.
Okay. Now, you're big brothers and big sisters of the Twin Cities, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so does that mean that there are other big brothers and big sister organizations out
It's
there?
a national organization.
Okay.
So we have the support of national, however, we are a local chapter of that. And we actually serve the 10-county system. There used to be separate ones throughout the greater Twin Cities, and we've really consolidated that. And then there is another one out in St. Cloud and Owatonna, but we really work primarily in the metro area. And honestly, there's need throughout the metro area. My main focus is St. Paul. I'm a St. Paul parent, and it's the area that I'm concentrating on in terms of recruiting volunteers. And we have about 270 matches right now active in St. Paul, but we have over 200 kids waiting for matches right now in St. Paul. So there's a great need out there. And they are scattered throughout all the communities of St. Paul. It's not just in one pocket. And we also tend to have a greater need for men. We have over 60% of our waiting kids are boys. So I think that that's just a reality of perhaps, you know, single parent families looking for their boys to be mentored and then having just a harder time finding men who are willing to give that year-long commitment. So sometimes that big couple is a nice option if, you know, there's a male who goes, I don't know if I want to do it on my own, but I could do it with a partner.
Okay. So if you had a measuring line to measure success, how would you go about doing this?
Yeah, we're really, you know, we spend a lot of time measuring success, mostly because I think it's important to be able to quantify, you know, what you're actually doing. So we do surveys of parents throughout the year, really looking at, you know, have they seen changes in their children? Do they see different engagement in terms of school, in terms of relationship impacts? And what we find is that their relationships are strengthened. Generally, their school attendance in school, the way they apply themselves in school is improved, and they tend to participate less in risky behaviors. So we are constantly, and if you want to go on our website, you can look at all the stats, but I mean, I think it's important to have the stories and then also have the information around what the impact is.
Now, what are some of your future goals?
Well, I would say this whole piece around really looking at the child, both from this beginning of the relationship and then staying with them throughout college, or till they get to college, is a unique, a really unique commitment of ours, and we're really revving it up in a big way. So we had like kids go to Dairy Queen, they all made blizzards, and they learned about careers in graphic design. We went to NPR and we did a news clip, we should come here and do a news clip. You know, learning like what does it feel like to be in different jobs, and doing that with your mentor so that you have somebody else there with you to sort of talk it through. I just think it's really important. We got a really sweet letter from a young woman who had gotten one of our scholarships and was in her first year of college. We had sent her a care package. And she said, you know, she just couldn't believe it. She hadn't gotten Christmas presents, she hadn't gotten any presents, and here comes this care package from Big Brothers Big Sisters saying, we know you can do it. And like, what does that mean for someone? You know, so I think that sense of that commitment, both to today with the kids, but then also for them to realize that we're here with their mentors, you know, all the way through, if they're up for it.
Now, how does one get involved?
Go to our website, which is just www.bigtwincities.org. You can look at all the process of getting involved, and that's probably the easiest way. If you'd prefer to call, you can call 651-789-2400, and then somebody on the phone can walk you through. But what happens is generally you come in for a 1-hour orientation to learn more, get a little bit of training, and then it's a pretty extensive application and interview process, because needless to say, we want to make sure that the mentors are well qualified for this, and are safe and engaged and ready to build positive connections. The kids are also interviewed, and the parents or guardians are also interviewed, and then a match occurs sort of by what folks are interested in. So it's a very thorough process.
Okay, now before we go, anything else you would like to add?
Did I talk about how it was 1-year commitment? That's, I think, the biggest piece that people really need to know going in, because even in our orientation, I mean, that reality of showing up to a kid for a year is so important. So that's sort of the biggest screening element, I think, for volunteers who are considering this, to really be clear about whether they can do that, because it's so important to forge a positive relationship with a kid.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us.
I wish you success in your endeavors.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.